going through midterms, although midterms look very
on YouTube. It just came on, Dee Dee.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Okay, great. We'll continue that, Brian. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:04. Thank you for your patience as we dealt with live streaming to YouTube. We were all present with our quorum, but sometimes the links don't always work. So thank you again for joining us. Dee Dee, would you mind doing a roll call of those present, please? We got to unmute you.
Sorry. All right, we've got Kate here, Adam is present. We have Megan Wicks. Kathy Grant will be arriving late. She said notice of that. Arca is here. Missing Chris Wilson and Scott Paul. We have Amy, Lloyd, and also our two guests, Brian Kelly and Mr. Iovino.
Hi, Amy. I didn't see you, but hello.
And Valerie. Did I say Val? Sorry.
Okay.
And Valerie's here. Sorry, Val.
I checked her off.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Let's raise to say the Pledge of Allegiance so we can proceed. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So we didn't receive any citizens' comments to begin the meeting. So at this point, we'd like to welcome our guests from NFA. As Dee Dee mentioned, it's Mr. Brian Kelly, who is the new head of NFA, and John Iovino, the Director of Student Affairs. So welcome and thank you very much for taking some time out of your evenings to join us and give us some updates on the school and all that's great with NFA.
Super, thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity. It's one of the things that has been very important for me in taking this new position is communicating with the partner districts and getting to know people in those districts. And I've had the opportunity to go to almost all of the Board of Educations now and meet people. Just quickly about me, I am new to Connecticut, new to NFA. You could say I'm new to the United States again because I've been overseas for 20 years and things have changed quite a bit since the last time I lived here officially. I'm 25 years in education, 20 years overseas, as I mentioned, most of that time in Colombia, South America, leading international schools. And it's definitely a challenging time to take on a headship at a school, regardless of where it is. But I will say that it's also a very exciting time at NFA. We have so many opportunities, and I'm looking forward to sharing some of those with you tonight. Really looking at things in the future that are going to help create pathways for success for all students. Really focusing on how we can improve student engagement, how we can improve family engagement at the school, how we're going to really rethink our evaluation and assessment plans at NFA, take a progressive look at that, upgrade our curriculum, which is already an incredibly diverse and innovative curriculum, but make it even better in terms of international mindedness and opportunities for kids when we talk about the next level. And most importantly, assuring that regardless of where our students are coming from, what their address is, what their town is, what their background is, that they all have equal access to the curriculum and there's equity there. So these are the things that I'm really excited about in taking on this new role. We have a great team here, and although there's challenges this year in particular, as all of you know, in all schools and all businesses, we're going to get through them and make things better for our kids. I would like to start with a video, and we we've really tried to think outside the box this year and how we can make this presentation special. It's always special when John and our guidance folks go to the schools personally, but we had to rethink that this year. And so we decided that the best way was to make individual videos for all of our towns. And so if you don't mind, I'd like to share the Voluntown video with you. So let's watch that first, and then we'll jump into the presentation.
Director of Student Affairs at Norwich Free Academy. These are challenging times for sure. Normally, we would be hosting you on campus for a tour so that you can see and learn about all the opportunities available to you when you finish your 8th grade year. However, this year it's different. We're going to bring the best of NFA to you. Over the next few minutes, you're going to learn about the academics, the athletics, and the art opportunities, plus more, available to you as a student at Norwich Free Academy. But before we do that, we have some special guests who'd like to share some information with you.
NFA is definitely one of the greatest schools around because of their academics and their athletic programs. It was a little intimidating at first because there was a lot of people. I was very antisocial when I first came here because I was scared to meet new people.
For me, going to like a bigger school was really like nerve-wracking. As a freshman, you're part of a unit, which helps you to segue into the bigger school population and helps you build friendships with other people since you see almost like the same people every day.
All the teachers are super nice. They're literally the greatest. Like I always go in there to try my hardest and just push myself. The guidance counselor, they'll help you through anything, any problems that you're having at home, or if you're having problems in school, just go see your counselor. They'll help you through it. And people at NFA are here to support you and get you through tough times.
I'm involved in Project Outreach, National Honor Society, National Spanish Honor Society, the art program here. I've taken the drawing classes and painting classes here that are like part of the fine arts program, and they really helped me build on my art skills and grow.
Football made my experience a lot better because a lot more people were able to get to know me and then I was able to meet more people. Just the team in general, like you met so many more people. Those like people that are on the field are like my brothers now. They're so good to me, I'm good to them. We joke around all the time.
I would say to 8th grade me that high school isn't as scary as it seems, and it's everyone, like all the teachers and all the staff are here to support you and make you feel welcome.
What I'm gonna remember the most is being on the field with people that support me for football, with my brothers and all them. They're the greatest people alive.
Our academic program is unmatched. Let's learn a little bit about it.
At NFA, we empower our students to be fearlessly independent. That means you have the freedom to explore your passion, from the arts, sciences, and humanities to hospitality, manufacturing, and so much more. Our selection of core and elective courses is unmatched by any public school in the region and provides you with endless opportunities to explore new horizons and choose your path. We know that not every student is ready to take on the challenges of high school from day one. That's why our 9th grade experience makes the transition easier by assigning you to small community-based teams. We'll We'll work with you to gain confidence and achieve academic success. Our honors program offers courses for students who demonstrate aptitude and initiative. As incoming ninth graders, your course placement will be determined by your prior academic achievement and teacher recommendation. And as you continue along, you'll have the opportunity to earn college credit while still in high school. No matter what level you're at, there's a place for you at NFA. And more importantly, our team of counselors will work with you to select courses that challenge you at the appropriate level. Our many courses and programs offer you a chance to learn and grow. You'll have the freedom to explore your interests and your passions, and you'll be taught by an exceptional faculty focused on providing you with the strongest foundation possible. Unique and unmatched learning opportunities await. Which path will you choose? It starts at NFA.
Want to be a Wildcat? Our athletic program is very strong and will provide opportunities for you to participate in the ninth grade.
Sports play an important role in the high school experience, and that's especially true at NFA. Tradition pushes us forward, and a commitment to excellence makes the NFA difference. Our Wildcats have a long line of academic and athletic achievement. Putting on the red and white and representing Norwich Free Academy is an awesome experience. And the best part about it, there's a spot for you. We offer more than 50 varsity, junior varsity, and freshman teams, providing opportunities for Wildcats to participate at all levels beginning in ninth grade. Our teams are made up of student athletes from all grade levels and, more importantly, from all of our partner towns. Our student athletes are successful on the court, on the field, and in the classroom, and they compete at the college level and beyond. And if you don't play a sport, but have immense Wildcat pride, then you're in the right place. Our award-winning student section is known for its incredible support of our teams and is great fun to be a part of. Make friends, cheer on the Wildcats, and show your school spirit, all at NFA.
At NFA, our arts community is second to none. Whatever your passion is, you will find success.
The arts have been a central part of NFA for more than 150 years. Our visual and performing arts programs let you explore and discover your passion. Our visual and fine arts program has produced professional artists for more than a century. Our classes go beyond drawing, painting, sculpture, and design. We offer photography, graphic design, animation, courses in metals and jewelry, and more, all in an environment where you can excel. And having the Slater Memorial Museum right on campus sets us apart from any other school in the region and helps prepare you even more for success beyond NFA. Our music program provides numerous opportunities in choral and instrumental music options for beginners, intermediate, and experienced musicians. Learn, grow, and perform as individuals and members of our ensembles. Is the stage where you belong? Our dance and theater courses are designed for all levels, and you'll participate in music, acting, directing, design, production, and performance. Discover your passion, hone your skills, and prepare for the future at NFA.
At NFA, our community is global. We are strong, vibrant, and caring.
When you come to NFA, you are more than a ninth grade student. You'll become part of a unique learning community designed to prepare you for the challenges you'll face after high school, no matter what path you choose. Here we focus on respect and acceptance. In addition to classroom learning, our many clubs and activities provide other opportunities to learn about cultures and beliefs. At NFA, we respect all perspectives. We do this through understanding and connection. We provide you with opportunities to do more than learn. We provide you the chance to grow and to reflect, and we provide you the chance to be a part of something bigger. Our world is much larger than our own community, and when you leave NFA, you'll be ready and prepared to be responsible members of the community and global citizens. And all of this begins right here at Norwich Free Academy.
I hope you've enjoyed learning more about your high school, NFA. We look forward to seeing you next fall on campus, but until then, go Wildcats.
So that is the video, and I think it's representative of what we have to offer. And of course, the star of the video is here with me, who's been instrumental in not only my transition, but instrumental in this whole process that we're going through. So, John, you probably don't need an introduction.
No,
go ahead
thank
and
you.
introduce yourself anyway, and then we'll talk a little bit about why NFA.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. The video that you just saw, we have shared that with your 8th grade students. Jessica Bacatoro, Director of Guidance, and myself met with every partner district 8th grade class this year virtually. Normally, we'd have had your 8th grade come to NFA. We'd have taken tours, shown them around NFA. We'd have had pizza. We'd had chocolate chip cookies. We'd had a great time, but the world is different. So we brought NFA to them. And the video, we had a lot of fun making it. I got to tell you, I've never worked with a drone before, but that last scene where I was waving and looking at the crowd, I had the drone within 6 inches of me. I had no idea what that thing could do. It's kind of scary, actually, but we got through it anyway. So I know we have a couple of NFA grads on the board, and I know we have some people that have known NFA for a good period of time, but I can honestly say in my 44th year that NFA is better now than it ever has been. There were more opportunities for students. It's more of a caring culture than ever. We take care of our students in many ways that we're going to talk about. And that's one of the reasons I'm still there, because it gets better every year. And we welcome Dr. Kelly from Columbia. He's got some great ideas and the right guy at the right time. So it'll be a great future for us. So why NFA? So I've got some notes I'm going to refer to. Normally I'd have a PowerPoint, but I'm going to start with academics, of course, because that's what we're all about. So first and foremost, we offer over 250 courses. And I know that Voluntown students have access to 7 different high schools. So as you're looking at 6 other schools, take a look at what we're talking about and why NFA is different. 250 courses, 45 courses for college credit. Interesting, I had a meeting with one of our faculty members this past week. He has a daughter at the University of Washington who took UConn courses and accumulated 33 credits from UConn. They all transferred to the University of Washington. So she's in her 2nd year of college already. She's going to graduate in 2.5 years if she doesn't change majors. That's what my daughter did. She went to UNH with a year done, changed majors 3 times, and it took her 4.5 years, but that's a different story. We have 6 world languages and 17 AP classes. So if you take a look at that and compare, you guys, it's very different. We have a 9th grade experience where 9th graders come into NFA. They're placed on units of about 100 students. They'll take courses, their core courses, with those 100 students, and they'll travel with them from class to class. So that breaks that larger school down to a smaller school. And as we tell kids and families, it doesn't matter what high school you go to, it's a transition. You're leaving Voluntown Elementary. You've been there for 10 years of 9 years, 12 years, 13 years of your life. So it's going to be a transition. We have elective course selection that is second to none. Students at 13 years old, they think they have it figured out. But my favorite line always is, they don't know what they don't know. They may think they want marine biology. They may think they want acting, dancing, but that's all they know at this point in time. There are a lot of what I call specialty high schools out there that focus in one area. The advantage of NFA is that you can come to NFA, follow that passion, yet find something in the 11th grade year taking an elective that you never knew about. High school should be a time to figure out what the next chapter is. At 13 years old, you have it figured out as a 13-year-old. But when you're 16, the world changes. We have an honors program now. You can take honors in the 9th grade. And a couple of board members, you would have loved it if we had it back in the day when you were in high school. You come in as a 9th grader. We have a high school placement test that all incoming 9th graders take. We match that up with their middle school transcript and we place them appropriately. So if you deem so, you can take honors beginning in the 9th grade. That follows into being part of the honors program in grades 10 through 12. The honors program is for students taking at least 3 honors courses or AP courses in grades 10, 11, and 12, and having a GPA of 3.5. They have extra seminars, summer workshops, summer programs, and they have access to things that will help them get into those highly selective colleges. We also have a school to work program, which is brand new with 3 years into it, because we recognize that not all students are ready for college after high school. So we need to prepare them for the workforce. We have classes in CNA. We've collaborated with EB and the manufacturing pipeline and have placed numerous students into jobs right out of high school at EB to have careers. So we have pathways. If it's college, if it's work, you can follow your passion and follow something that's going to take you into the world. We have a comprehensive special ed program, and Lloyd, you know it very well. You were involved in it and helping develop it over the years, that we meet the needs of all students on whatever their IEPs may be. Everything except clinical daycare, we're able to educate students. We have an EL program for students with English language learning. We have a new arrival center where students come to NFA not speaking a lick of English. They'll be in the new arrival center until they get skills that can put them in classes to succeed. In the arts, oh boy, where do I start? We all know that NFA has had a visual arts school for many, many years. It's one of the foundations of Norwich Free Academy. Many students major in fine arts. They go on to art colleges or majoring in art in universities and are very successful. But we've also upped our performing arts over the last 7 or 8 years. Our instrumental music program, which we combine very heavily with Voluntown, by the way, because you folks we know have a terrific instrumental music program, and we have numerous students from Voluntown that come to NFA. As a matter of fact, we have some of your students right now that are involved with marching band. It's a very successful program. But we also have vocal music, many choirs that students can join, and we have a drama program, not just a play shop that we used to have back in the day that just did after school. We have a curriculum now. Phil Trostler is our drama teacher, and we have over 12 different courses that students can take in drama, from acting to scene developing to movie making. It's phenomenal. So we're very proud of those programs. Athletics.
John, can I just mention
Oh, please help me.
I think
Go ahead.
one of the things we're trying to strengthen as well is that that ability for students to earn college credit, or even strengthen our school to work in a more career related program, so that we can tie university and college coursework into a career related program. And we're looking at heavily investing in this idea of international mindedness, particularly in the 11th and 12th grade. Students have a better idea of what their career path might be, and tailoring courses that are challenge and credit bearing courses, but that are specifically designed to a career, whether that's medicine, whether that's biology, whether that's arts or engineering, and where students can actually have a kind of a custom path. So not only are they earning significant college credit, getting admissions preference in many, many schools, but they're also preparing themselves for the eventual coursework at the college level. So this is something that I'm very excited about, and we're investing in that at this time. And again, really strengthening the 9th and 10th grade programs to assure that regardless of who the student is, that if they choose to go into that type of a program in 11th grade, that they'll be ready to do so.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. And that's one of the great things that Dr. Kelly has brought to us, and we're beginning to work on that, is the term international mindedness. Because if you come on our campus, you are well aware how diverse our population is. Over 30 languages being spoken. We have students from all over the world. We have international students coming here for education. So for us to expand that program and that thought process is critical. So that's where we are with that. Athletics. Wow, where do I start? We have over 30 sports, 50 different teams, varsity, junior varsity, freshman level teams, highly competitive in all areas. We now have a lighted turf field, which is 4 years. If you come to a night game at NFA, it's unlike any other. We have a fitness center, which we've expanded like a college campus, a cardio room, a multi-purpose exercise room. So students looking for conditioning, looking to take themselves to the next level, it's all there. And I'll be honest, the coaching staff that we have now is phenomenal. We've got young, we've got dynamic coaches. We have some NFA grads coming back to coach. So it's a terrific environment. We have a training room, a full-time trainer after school. If you follow NFA sports, you know that we have numerous athletes at the collegiate level, at the professional level, and we're very proud of all of them. But the cool thing is, even if you're not an athlete, we are now known as having the best fan section in the state of Connecticut. We actually won a competition 2 years ago. We've been recognized as the best fan section in Eastern Connecticut. And it's been a lot of fun watching that develop, watching that grow, and watching the student interest to support our athletic programs. Clubs and activities, where do I begin? We have over 70. And I tell people we have so many clubs because it's the ideas that come from the students. Us old people, we can't figure out what they want. They tell us what they want. And we're very fortunate that we have a faculty that steps forward to be advisors for these crazy clubs that we have. And they come in 3 categories. We have academic clubs, we have language clubs, honor society clubs, writing clubs, book clubs. We have community service clubs, Project Outreach, Amnesty International, support our servicemen and women, the SOS Club, do things for the community and nationally and globally. And then we have fun clubs. We have a gaming club that meets once every week and they play video games, believe it or not. We've got outdoors club, we have a fishing club. So the opportunity to find your niche at NFA is certainly there. You know, and that's one of the advantages of all these opportunities. Students can go to a smaller high school and think that they're going to have smaller classes. Not true, because our class size is like any high school, any size. But the difference is when you walk into a smaller high school, sometimes the older kids kind of put a label on your forehead when you walk in. And if that label is kind of right of the line or left of the line of that center line, you might be lonely. Not at NFA. If you're right or left, there's 300 kids just like you and 4 or 5 clubs for you to join. And that's a real advantage for lots of kids. Social emotional support at NFA, I got to tell you folks, this is one of the things that I'm most proud of. I've been there 44 years. I started as a health and phys ed instructor, became a dean of students, building principal, athletic director, blah, blah, blah. I've seen it all. But one of the greatest growths that I've witnessed is what we're doing to support kids in their social and emotional needs. We now have, by grade, a building that has a guidance counselor, social worker, and a school psychologist that work as a team. And those students, when they're in the 10th grade, they will go to one building, just 10th graders. So that team gets to know them. And then when they become 11th graders, it's the same team. And when they're seniors, it's the same team. And you can't imagine the advantage that is for kids and the support that they need. Back in the day, those teams would have 10th graders, 11th graders, 12th graders, and they would be all mixed and they'd be all over campus. So we call that a continuum of care for students is critical. And we've seen definite advantages for all kids. We have started what's called the Wildcat Loft on campus. We have a food pantry and a clothing pantry for the needs of our students. So we have students that can go to the Wildcat Loft that need winter coats, that need gloves, that need whatever, and they have things there for them. We have food. We have students that we give bags of food to every Friday to take home for the weekend. We have food drives. We work with the community. We recognize the needs of all kids and we meet those needs for all kids. So, I mean, that's something that me personally, those that you know me, more proud of than anything. The academics and the athletics, they're great stuff, but to take care of the needs of our kids is what it's all about.
And I think especially this year, John, I think we have to give a shout out to our not only the counselors, the social workers, and the psychologists, but the faculty overall have been incredibly have bought into this emotional support piece, to the point where, because of the actions of some of our faculty members, we've been able to really meet the needs of kids. And because of a small action of people, it kind of paid it forward to the point where we were getting a very significant award or grant from the hospital in order to fund our Wildcat Loft and really make a difference in our community. And that's not something that's isolated on campus. It's just, it happens naturally. And for me, I'm so proud of that team for doing that. And it's something that you see every day. So congratulations.
So as a board, as a board in Voluntown, you should be very happy and proud of the statistics that I'm going to share with you right now. Because Voluntown students, Amy, whatever you're doing out there, you're doing a great job, trust me. I've been out there many times. We've done assemblies together, and kids are achieving at NFA, and be very proud of them. So here's some data that I'm going to give you on Voluntown students, and I got to look at my notes to make sure I get it all right. So last year's class of 2020, he had 18 seniors graduate. Out of those 18 seniors, 13 of them went on to post-secondary, 13 of them. 9 of them went to 4-year schools. 4 went to 2-year schools. 3 students went right into the workforce with jobs and careers. 1 decided to take a gap year, and 1 was undecided. Now, out of those post-secondary 4-year schools, you had students go to Springfield, Eastern Connecticut, Endicott, Bryant, Assumption, South Texas College, Community College of Rhode Island is a 2-year school, University of New Haven. So if you look at those schools, you got kids going to fantastic schools. The GPAs from the classes and this is from January of last year. We did not do GPAs at the end of the year because of the pandemic and the way we graded. But in January, the class of 2020's Voluntown students' average GPA was 3.10. The class of 2021 was 3.23. The class of 2024 was 23 was 3.44. So the overall average of Voluntown students was 3.20. That's I don't have to tell you how good that is. The end of the year, we have what's called class night, where we award scholarships through our foundation and donors. We award over $250,000 in scholarships. You should be very proud. You had 9 Voluntown students obtain scholarships to the total of $10,000. So not only did they achieve well, but it was recognized by the scholarship committee and the foundation. So that's the data that I always share every year. And I'm very happy to share that with you this year. That's my short talk about why NFA. And if you can't tell, I still love talking about NFA. I still do, because we're very proud of where we are. So Brian, back to you for anything you want to add.
Well, I just think now if there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
I'll start. I thank you very much for that thorough review, and obviously the time that went into the video was wonderful. Because if we can't be there in person, just to get a visual of the different spaces and the different classrooms and some of the experiences there, it is really helpful. I think hopefully the students find that very helpful as they're considering their options. As you know, we have 8 options now.
8. I forgot.
Yeah, we have 8. But and as you said, some of them are very specialized. So at this point, you can't have a myriad of opportunity as presented, through NFA. And I can speak personally from my experience that, and it's become that much more, over time as it's evolved. And very proud of the stats of the Voluntown students. I just wanted you to kind of elaborate a little bit on some of the pathways you were mentioning about like engineering or business, for instance, in areas that, I mean, I'm sure you have all of this. It's just those are kind of my key areas that I was hoping to hear a bit about.
Yeah, well, we do have those classes, and so, but one of my thoughts is that if we have those classes and we have those base, why can't we have a curriculum that is designed specifically for those kids that are decided that that's their career path, to prepare them early in 10th, in 11th and 12th grade to be ready for those university level courses. And so we're really embarking on a journey at this point to look at a diploma program that will offer college credit and tied with an international curriculum, an internationally recognized curriculum, where the students can self-design their last 2 years of high school, depending on what their career choice is. There's also a career-related path for this for students that aren't 100% decided, but kind of know the field they want to work in. And then there's a partnership, much like the School to Work program, related to the classes that they're taking. It's something that's done in a lot of schools. It's an innovative and progressive approach. It doesn't change our electives or our approach for general education, but it's just more of an opportunity for those kids that are a bit more decided on what that career path is, and for those kids that are looking for a significant challenge in terms of honors. Although this path isn't just limited to kids that are honors kids, which is the nice thing. But with that, it does mean that we're going to really need to rethink our 9th and 10th grade program and how we prepare our students for those paths. And that's a challenge, and we're going to do it, because I think that for me, the most important thing is equity for all students.
And if I can follow up a little with that, Kate, if you look online at the electives available to 9th graders, you're going to see a large selection of semester courses, because over the last probably year and a half, we've added numerous semester courses for 9th graders, so they can dabble and take an environmental science course and take a beginning engineer, a beginning business type of course, just for a semester, just to, if they're really not sure what that passion or that pathway is, have an opportunity to take a look at different things. So we're on the way. As Dr. Kelly said, it's a work in progress.
Here's a simple example. Let's say we have a student that absolutely knows they're going to be in the performing arts, and that's going to be their career. That's their dream. They know they're going to do that. Why wouldn't we in 11th grade create a program where that is much more accessible for them? So yes, they have to take social studies. Yes, they have to take a science. Yes, they have to take a language. Yes, they have to take an English class. But why can't their English class, instead of being British literature, be an English class that focuses in on plays or performing?
Shakespeare.
Why can't it take social studies class be a social studies class that is about arts and humanities and community? Why can't their science class be in a community study science class or some sort of sociology class that allows them to have that knowledge that they're going to need in the university arts program? And there are options in science other than the traditional biology, physics, environmental science, communities, studying communities, those kind of sciences. That's an opportunity for us. And so that's an example. But the same thing goes for a student that knows they want to study medicine. Shouldn't a student that wants to study medicine in 11th and 12th grade be able to take high-level biology and chemistry at the same time, so that they can knock those preliminary courses out of their university study and get closer into their career path? That's kind of the idea behind this program. And same thing for engineering, same thing for the science and the business courses, kids being able to take economics, etc. So it's exciting.
Two things. One is that I was trying not to yell out all the kids I knew in this video. I haven't seen this in quite some time. So, and I'm from a different lens now. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Yeah, but I think it goes back to what you were saying, John, before about how the looping system that we have And we've had these kids from 10th grade for 3 years to 12th. So I know most of those kids in the video. It was so awesome to see them in action. It was really nice. But also a couple of things I found just working there really interesting. Some of my students who had opportunities to work with like fire departments. I know last year, unfortunately, COVID had gotten in the way, but we had an opportunity to have some students work to get trained in fire and to be a beginner cadet, or I'm not quite sure of the wording, along with a program we used to have for CNA. And now I think a new program is happening in terms of healthcare and being a home healthcare, which I think is really cool because those opportunities pop up a lot because somebody from our school gets together and says, hey, this is a need. How can we make this work? And it often does. So I was pretty impressed with that.
And I think
go ahead, Diane, sorry.
We're also looking to expand kind of our social impact as well. I think we do an incredible job with our kids, with the programs that we have, but I think that all kids need to have that experience. And so I think that whole idea of creativity and action and service needs to be something that we really push for all students. And I think we're going to be moving to a model where every student's going to be asked to do some level of that service component. It doesn't necessarily mean social service, but service of some kind. And I think that's important in our community. Not only, I think we'll be able to make a much greater impact so that we'll open up other opportunities for these community organizations that desperately need our help. So that's something I'm also very excited about.
Okay, just quickly, you mentioned the students in the video, and I got to tell you folks, that Joe Click, if you recognize Joe Click, one of my favorite guys, I recognize and realize that he's not a Voluntown kid now, but he is a Voluntown kid, period. And be proud of where he is and what he's done, please, because he's come a long way. If you haven't noticed his new haircut, that's pretty how far he's come, actually, but he's done well. So be proud of Joe.
Brian and John, I just wanted to mention, thank you for last year. The NFA board chose to not raise the tuition for this year, and that was extremely helpful during these budgeting times. And I realized that you'll be setting the tuition before February 1st as per our contract. So I appreciate any help that you can give as we go through the budgeting process. But thank you.
That was an important thing to do last year. We also have incredible challenges because of this pandemic and because of other factors, and we'll be working through that. But our board meets on January 26th, so we'll be talking, Adam.
Thank you for the update.
Brian, I just have one question, sort of tag teaming with Adam. Being new to the school and taking over, I guess what I would ask you to do a little research on is what justifies the special tuition levels for students with IEPs beyond the resource. And because some of those tuitions are very significant. So I would ask you to research and justify why some of the tuitions are as high as they are, basically. I'll send you an email with some more specifics. I can't discuss too much tonight, but anyway.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Yep, you bet.
I have a question. You guys talked a lot about the students that know what they want to do. They want to go into medicine. They want to be an engineer or whatnot. What are you guys doing for what I would argue is probably the majority of your population, your 13, 14-year-olds coming in that have, and even 16, 17-year-olds that really have absolutely no idea what they want to do. A lot of being, even first generation to even go to college. I think there's a decent population of Voluntown students. I know I was when I went to NFA. And when I went there 15 plus years ago, there wasn't much of a guidance. We did have a guidance counselor, but we saw him maybe once a year. He signed off on what classes we took, and that was kind of the end of it. So I'm assuming that over the last 15 plus years ago, there's been some changes in that department. So can you talk a little bit about what you're doing for those students that don't know what they want to do and what your guidance department roles look like now?
I think that's, what we definitely know that not all students know what they want to do. And I think we were talking about one particular program that we want to focus on for those kids, but that's what I was talking about in creating pathways. We know that in our 9th and 10th grade, we need to create those pathways so that kids have the ability to kind of sample what they might want to do in their future. And we do have a strong guidance department. So just by the sheer number of electives and sheer number of choices we have early on in their careers in 9th and 10th grade at NFA, kids are going to be able to get a really wide variety of experience and make choices. But continue to work with those kids in 11th and 12th grade if they still haven't decided. And as in every high school, you will even have seniors that are still undecided, and they may even be undecided in their first year at university. But it's really about working with those kids, having that real close contact with their counselor, developing what we haven't officially called the 4-year plan yet, but that's what we're going to be calling it. Having a document where we're looking at that every year with the student and the counselor to see where they are in their choices, in their path, and so that it's not just one conversation that happens in their entrance to school. It's something that's going to happen regularly with those kids, so that we kind of not only track their credits, but track their choices and what they think they might be interested in. I don't know, John, if you wanted to add to that.
Yes, I thank you. A couple of things. We mentioned, and Erica mentioned the looping concept, but the way guidance is functioning today, as opposed to 15 years ago or whenever that was, is when you leave 9th grade and go into 10th grade, the guidance counselor that you'll have for 3 years, but more importantly, there's a team that has only 10th graders. In the past, when you went into 10th grade, you had a guidance counselor that had 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders. And what would happen in the fall, they would see 12th graders to get ready for college. And then after the first of the year, they would have to see the 11th graders to get ready for college. And then midway through the second semester, they'd talk to the 10th graders. Now I'm generalizing, don't get me wrong, but in kind of that's the way it works. Now, those counselors have nothing but 10th graders. So, and I've seen it working. They have a year to establish relationships with all kids, not just the 12th graders, but they're all 10th graders. So that's an advantage immediately. Our guidance counselors meet with students and parents every year. There are formal meetings where they will meet either individually as in groups of 11th and 12th grade, or smaller groups of 10th graders, and they will talk about goals and they'll talk about careers. Our guidance counselors work with a computer program called Naviance. All 9th graders will go through training in Naviance to do career assessments. So you'll take something, a survey, and you'll answer questions, and it'll tell you, well, maybe you might want to look at this or look at that. So there's a lot more that goes into it in today's world than it did in the past. We have a guidance curriculum where they go into English classes each year. So they're much more involved than they ever have been. So that's a big change that we're very happy with and proud of, to help kids figure their way out.
John, can I add something?
Sure, Lloyd.
I have the advantage of having worked there for a couple of years, and now in my role supporting students with IEPs, I have to say that the transition planning that takes place at your school is the best in the region.
Thank you.
The teachers really spend time and activities with the kids with IEPs to really get them to know the nature of their disabilities, identify interests that they have in the career area, and then they have career job coaches that help them get experiences. And it's a very strong program, and it's taken very seriously by your special education department. And it's
I appreciate that. And if I can follow up on our concept of a unified culture, that we share at NFA, and we know that Unified involves regular ed kids and students with special needs working together. And we do it in the classroom, we do it in athletics, and we do it socially. And we've been recognized in the state as one of the top unified schools in the state of Connecticut. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, Amy, if you remember, we came out and did a couple of assemblies at Voluntown in terms of autism, in terms of awareness campaigns, and working with your Unified and your kids as well. So that's something that we're proud of and we work at every day. Thank you, Lloyd, for saying that.
John, I don't have any questions, but
Hi.
I just want to say that we, have had such a good experience with our 8th grade and our 8th grade advisors and being part of NFA and really including those kids who want to go there. And NFA is not a choice for everyone, but it's a
Right.
choice for some. So, when they make that choice to go to NFA or Griswold or Wheeler, wherever they choose to go, all of our high schools, including NFA, really put forward in making our 8th graders feel welcome, doing ramp up programs in the summer and lots of different things. And that is the feedback I get from families, that they feel like they are then connected, because we don't have a high school. So that makes it very, very different for us to not just have a high school where, Mrs. Jones, the 12th grade math teacher. It doesn't work like that here. So, for us having that relationship with NFA and being able to do that, and with Jessica and Jackie, they work really well together, and getting our 8th graders ready who have chosen NFA, ready to go there.
Well, you know we've enjoyed our relationship over the years, Amy, because we've done a lot of things together, and it's always been positive.
Yeah.
And the kids that you send us, as I said, look at the data, they're great kids. So thanks.
Yeah, it's great. And that, the data, it speaks for itself. I always know we've had amazing kids, and whether they go to post-secondary, whether they go into the workforce, whether they go to a 2-year college, it doesn't matter. They've done well. They've been successful. They're going to, lead lives that they themselves are going to enjoy, and that's all that we hope for once kids graduate. So it's really good to see.
Thanks, Amy. Good to see you, by the way.
Thank you. John, I think you owe me dinner at on that restaurant that you have at NFA, if I recall, right? Every year, but I don't know what we're gonna do this year, but.
Well, I'll tell you what, when COVID goes away, I'll take care of that debt. Don't worry about it, dear.
The Brickview Inn, correct?
Yes.
Something?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the best thing about NFA.
Yes, it is.
It's interesting to see the schools that are modeling themselves, at least appears to me, after NFA. When I went to high school, NFA was like none other, having with the electives, and I feel like a lot of high schools in the area are trying to offer that now, and you guys just seem to be steps ahead on all of that stuff. And it makes a big difference when a student can, run the school store and do the accounting for it, and get that real world experience. It's huge, honestly.
Well, and I can speak that real quickly that NFA is never satisfied with where we are. And Dr. Kelly coming to town we're going to keep moving forward. And that's kept some of us there for a very long time, because we continually get better for the betterment of kids. And that's what it's all about. So thanks. Yeah.
It's about kids.
Yep.
So I have a question, I'm not as familiar with NFA. I'm kind of new to Voluntown. I have one child in there now, but during the time of COVID, I've found that many kids are becoming disconnected, especially the freshmen that are going in. They're not really feeling connected to a lot of the kids there, a lot of the programs. How are you intending, especially as, hopefully they get back to school in the next couple of weeks, to kind of transition them back in, maybe reach out to them to try to get them more involved in things where they're not feeling that connection right now, kind of, and it's the COVID situation, but the in and out can be very challenging to these kids in making those connections. So what are your next steps in trying to get these kids, to become real wildcats, and really be a part of that school?
That's a great question, and the answer is that it goes actually far beyond just in the next couple of weeks and in the next couple of months. I think we are already thinking about what we're going to have to do even into next year in changing some of the things that where we can really assure that not only students, but even teachers get back into that organizational culture and back into that feel of what is NFA all about and why is it special and why are we proud to be here? And so it's really developing opportunities and moments for these kids to be together, because they haven't been, at least in large groups, for a very long time. And again, I think it's something that not only the students, but the adults need to re-experience in some cases. So it's something we're talking about and developing. And certainly through our connections period, we have some opportunities to do that, but it's not going to be enough. And I'm really hoping that this rollout of the vaccine will allow us to get several weeks of in-person learning full-time at the end of the year. I'm being very optimistic. That's what I'm hoping for, because if that is the case, then we'll be able to lay even more of that groundwork. But we know that it's going to go into next year. We're going to have to focus on that culture part, and it's going to be part of the plan. And not only that, but we also need to structure support for kids, because there are kids that aren't engaged and they may have missed something. And I'm also concerned and willing to work with our partners with our elementary kids. I mean, I have young kids, and as a teacher, I'm very concerned about kids that are in first and second grade right now, particularly the kids that don't have strong parent support at home. What's happening to their that prime moment for reading skills? And although I'm confident in teachers around the world to close the gaps, it's not going to happen in all the cases. So I think collectively we need to work together, not only on the socio-emotional, but on assuring that we have safeguards for these academic holes that are going to be created. So it's a tough road, but it's going to require a lot of planning and a lot of support with our counselors, our psychs and psychologists, social workers, and making sure that we're addressing those SEL needs.
And I can't wait to get kids back to have the welcome back pep rallies and have the spring days, doors out, I think games outdoors and things that we do for kids to have fun. Brian is absolutely correct. We have lots of work to do academically and with emotional needs, but we also have those social fun things that kids have missed out on. And I feel bad about that. High school is a time to have fun, and they've been missing it. So can't wait for that first pep rally. It'll be a great time. So.
Yeah.
Well, I really do, unless there's other board questions, I really do want to thank Brian and John for coming back out. This has been a highlight of many Januaries, and last January, the weather was so bad and things were happening, we weren't able to host a meeting with NFA. So thank you so much for coming and appreciate your efforts and time.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to meet you all. And you know, as they say, my door's always open. I am really proud of the communication that we've done with the partner districts this year, and I want to keep it that way. I want to have open communication and have it be a true partnership. So please don't hesitate to get in touch with me if you have questions, concerns, humorous anecdotes, whatever.
Thank you all. It's good to see everyone. And Amy, your lunch is coming up, Amy. So don't worry.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Welcome,
bye-bye.
Brian.
Bye, John.
Bye-bye. Bye, Orca. Thank you, Kate.
Okay. So we're all back. Well, that was good to get an update from them. You hear these type of, I remember it 2 years ago when they came in and you forget some of the stats. And I feel like like you said, Megan, every year you hear it, there's more, the numbers go up in terms of the offerings and the way they're thinking about it. And it's really very interesting to see how the school has changed and the offerings.
Megan, I hear you. I used to talk about the only time I talked to my guidance counselor was at actually Tamarack Lodge, and he was having an adult soda at the time. So that's how so we've come a long way.
A long way. I mean, exactly that. When he explained it, like the whole 12th, you know, the squeaky wheel syndrome, like I was like, definitely never even got a look from my guidance counselor, like until it was like 12th grade and already had like 17 applications done. I'm like, okay, thanks for the help.
Like SSPs all the time. They call them the SSPs and all these. Yeah, they do a lot more. I was like, I wish I had that.
Yeah, no, and I'm really happy to hear about the separating, because like he said, I mean, the needs of a 9th grader compared to the needs of a 12th grader are completely different. So, if you don't, when we were there, if you didn't drive it yourself, it didn't get done. So I'm really happy to hear that they're really tailoring what the kids need. That's huge, especially in a school that offers that many options. It's really kind of overwhelming, honestly. So, it's nice that they're doing that.
You've seen their course book. It's like 1,000 pages. It's worse than the Cheesecake Factory menu. I mean, it's nuts. But I like that continuum of care concept. That's what they said. I just thought that was so fitting, and that hits the gaps that we're talking about, at least from our own experience. Like, and ARC likely knows that that exists, but it's good to hear an example, and I feel good that our Voluntown students are getting that type of continuum of care, especially those key transition years of 9th grade into 10th, when they're still getting their footing.
Erica, did he say, I should have asked him to clarify, but just a quick question, I know we're moving on. Did he say that all the grades now stay in a respective building? Or is it just the 9th graders? It's just the 9th graders that stay in the building?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I thought you said they each have their respective, but I think they were more talking about the grade level having that continuum. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Because you remember how we were thrown to the wolves? So you just kind of had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, here's your map. Good luck. Now, I guess they recognized way back when that they needed a big school to feel small. So they have commercial, which used to call it Cranston. Now you do official names.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
And that was always kind of the freshmen. That was where all the homerooms were in Cranston.
Yeah. Yep. So they're all together.
At least with the 9th graders.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then 10th grade, they've had enough of the electives, and with courses and stuff, they know kind of.
And then they're
That's
out
nice.
with everyone else. They kind of feel like they graduated again because they're out with the big fish.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice.
Okay. Well, that was a great presentation. I just as we can move along with the agenda, I did want to just start. I thought it would be good that we just, if I could, at the start of the meetings, whenever it felt right to start, to just restate our mission, just so that we kind of can level set, and then we can move on to the more nitty gritty sections of the consent agenda. But I'll just start and present the mission statement. Of course, it's always located in the back of your agenda too, so you can refer to it. But the Voluntown Board of Education's mission is to provide our students the skills essential to reach their highest potential in a safe environment for learning as they aspire to become responsible, respectful, and civic-minded members of society. We commit to help educate, challenge, and inspire each child to excel as lifelong learners who can adapt constructively in an ever-changing, multicultural, and technological world. Still sounds pretty good as of August. So, does anybody have any questions on the consent agenda, or can we make a motion to approve it as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, Megan and Arca, thank you. All in favor to approve consent agenda as presented, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we move to administrative reports. with the principal's report. Amy? What do you have for us today?
Well, well, where do I start? I'm not sure. So let's go back to December. So the month of December, right at the tail end, the PTO had sponsored Scrooge. It was a live performance of Scrooge, and they had put it on. They wanted to try to do something that encompassed all the grade levels. It was different, and we had put it out there to families. I'm not sure we're going to do that one again, but it was different. We got through it. It was great that they offered it. Just trying to get something that kids could do, before vacation. We did the snowflake shop. So the last time we were talking about it, we were saying we're going to do the snowflake shop, and then we did the snowflake shop. Kudos to Amanda Page, who is our substitute nurse and one of our PTO ladies. She was at Walmart every single night because we had to continuously purchase items for the snowflake shop. We had kids from kindergarten to 8th come and make, purchases. She did a great job. She had baskets, wipes. We wiped them down. We got everything for them to take. We bagged them there. Some bagged them in their classrooms. As you can imagine, when you help small children wrap things, it's a lot easier if it goes in a bag. So it goes in the bag. We tag it. They take it home. Some of our friends, they took a picture of 3 little girls coming out the early childhood door, literally with a brown bag full, spewing out of with gifts for all the people in their family. It was really cute. I'm glad we could do it. People, I'm sure, would rather have their kids shop here than take them to the dollar store or Dollar General and do those things. That was one of the reasons why we really did it, because we know that we can control this and have them, take part and shop. So everyone got to do it. It was a great turnout. We came back on January 4th, so we sent all of your children home with everything they could possibly need. Again, bags and bags of things. If anybody's ever out there, save your brown bags from Stop and Shop pickup. We like to use those. They have nice handles, so save those for us. We send kids home with those bags a lot. We sent everybody home with all their stuff. We came back January 4th, just as planned. Over the vacation time, it's kind of that weird, like, are we going back? Are we not going back? Places are closing around us. But we were, we stayed true to the course of wanting to be open in person. Most recently, we had an uptick in COVID cases. We are aware that the town level is at a significant level, just coming off the vacation period. And those spiking cases, we did have 2 individuals test positive, and that memo was sent out to families. And what happened over the weekend was myself, my secretarial staff, and my nurse, and 1 or 2 of my teachers and aides came in, and we were able to quickly quarantine classes, but have those families come and pick up those kids' items. The one thing I did not want to do was on Monday morning have 60 people come and then pick up all of these items for kids that they might need. Kids need to be learning. So if it meant coming down on Sunday and just picking up items so they were ready for Monday, it was a lot easier for families to be able to do that than when you're in the middle of a work day and we're calling you at 9 a.m. on Monday morning. So we came in on Sunday, we quarantined those classes. Unfortunately, this time there were 2 additional classes that had to be quarantined because of the makeup of the teachers and how they share students, and being able to have a substitute be in that classroom. So it was quite a mix of being able to cover that classroom or not. So we just felt it best if the classrooms were home. It made it a lot easier on that realm. As you can imagine, anytime you quarantine classrooms or individuals, our specialists are always involved somehow. So depending on what specials teacher they may have, any of these classes, they also then become part of a contact tracing. So it's also covering those classes. So we are fortunate. We do have an intern. Myself, I always say I'm a highly paid substitute teacher. I cover lots of classes, so that way we can make sure that we can come in person, because the last thing I want to do is close because we don't have staffing. If we can make it work, then we want to be here and be in person. So we have done that. It was successful. I can't commend, and I know we say it all the time, but I can't commend enough our families really for coming down on Sunday, picking up items, our staff for coming in and being able to just get what those kids needed and be able to send that home with them. So it's worked out, really well on that realm. We are still, monitoring kids on a daily basis, coming down to the nurse. Our nurse is great. We're sending kids home. We do require, if we've asked them to either, because of the symptoms, so we have a flow chart that I had showed a couple board meetings ago regarding symptoms and what requires possibly a 10-day quarantine or a test. Families are great about, going, they want their children tested. They want to make sure that they're okay. And they provide us that information. So with that being said, we are still pushing forward to remain open. So that's my biggest thing. If we can remain open, even if that means remaining open and, we have 5 grade levels here. And if we can remain open with 5 grade levels, then I think we should remain open with 5 grade levels. So we are working our best to be able to do that safely. And I always make the joke that, if the captain of the ship goes down at some point, then we're just going to have to close because we're all going to be, be in a place where it'll be so much to have to keep up with that, that would really be the only reason. So,
keeping that point, Amy, just not to interrupt, but that's what we've just, heard from the health district, that many of the cases for these full school closings is really staff related. Yeah. And close contacts or due to contact tracing, the staffing needs and so forth have been the majority of the closure reasons. So, you certainly, if you went down, we would be in trouble, or if you're the staff or the nurse goes down, that's just,
and that business. Is true. I do think about how many classrooms I do, I want kids to be here. So I do go and cover classrooms because I want us to be able to be here. So, I know for myself and my office staff, we really do make an effort into what we're doing on the outside, making sure that we're not putting ourselves at risk because we know that we are around lots of different people and trying to keep our school open. So, not only myself, but a lot of our teachers, and we try to make that conscious effort to make sure that, you're staying safe. So that way we can, continue to work and come to school. And Kate is right on a lot of our meetings. It is because of staffing. We are just very fortunate that we are one standalone building that can manipulate it the best we can so we can still come in on a daily basis. And I think that's one of the positives to this is that we can, I can manipulate, okay, how are we covering that? Who can do it? In that case. So we're moving along. And like I said, we will stay open as much as we can. Our staff is anxiously waiting for 1B to open up and be able to receive vaccinations. So there are some districts that are getting it for multiple other reasons, and it's just how it flows out. And our staff members will be able to go and do that. Our nurse will be vaccinated tomorrow. She's part of 1A. So she will be able to get vaccinated tomorrow. She's very excited. I said, you're excited to get a shot? Like, who's excited to get a shot? But she is excited to go. She has to actually go to, I believe, Farmington or Middletown, one of those places out there to be able to go and do that. So she's excited about it. I always tell people we're just going to stay the course. So whatever happens, we're just going to stay the course until we can't stay the course any longer. So anybody have any questions or COVID related? I did say the other day that I could be like a COVID liaison now because I do COVID all the time. So it's one of those things that you just learn as time goes on.
It's just so nice to be able to call the nurse and talk through the situation with her. It's just nice to be able to get through to her and be like, all right, here's the situation. What do I do?
Yeah. And a lot of times families will call her for family reasons. It might not be related to their child, but they're trying to figure out, okay, my uncle tested positive. Now I have this person. And she really, knowing she really is an asset to families and be able to to help them figure out things that might just be happening, you know, on the periphery of their own family or friends or whatever. So anybody is welcome to call her at any time.
Do you guys have to register in the VAM system, Amy?
Yeah.
Are you guys like prepared with your roster ready to go to get you guys in there so you can schedule your appointments?
Yeah. So Rachel has all of that. We've gotten the emails already through VAMS, being able to register. So we set up, we requested being able to get that information. Recently, we've gotten emails saying like, it'll be, you know, almost time to register, like be prepared, here's your login, that. So Rachel has that information, and, you know, we're just waiting for that email. I did hear stories that, you know, once the email comes out that you can make an appointment, you have to like immediately go on, because they're going, I mean, people are booking out till the end of February.
Yeah,
you know.
I tried to look and I can't find anything right now. I just keep going back.
Right. So
Yeah, I
like your
spoke with
district is getting vaccinated,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now you can't get appointments because there's so much far out.
Yeah, I spoke with somebody at the Department of Health, although this is the one up in for Windham County. They said they're hoping for 1B to open up as soon as next Monday. So just keep an eye out. They said
Okay,
the
that's good to
18th.
know.
They said it might take a little, you know, obviously things subject to change, of course, but
Yeah.
they're really hoping to get it out for the 18th. So fingers
Yeah.
crossed for you guys to get that going.
I can only imagine, you know, there are lots of needs, you know, for bigger districts to have their teachers vaccinated. So, you know, I know someone today that was on the phone for 75 and older on hold for 4 hours, and they just hung up the phone because, you know, when you're that, you know, you don't want to wait, you know. So I hope so. I'm hoping 1B opens soon, hopefully Monday, Tuesday, and people can get in there.
All right, thank you so much, Amy. We can move on to the Director of Student Services, Mr. Johnson.
Hi, good evening. My report's on page 47, but I did revise it and I added an item, and I'll start with that. When the pandemic began, the directions from the Bureau of Special Education, as we were having annual reviews and planning students' programs, we were advised to plan their yearly IEPs based on the understanding that we're going to be back to normal sometime soon. And then in August, we were notified that the Bureau felt it would be appropriate for us to fill out what's called a learning model IEP implementation plan for each of the students with an IEP that lets the parent and the record know how the IEP is being delivered during the pandemic. We're fortunate that our kids are coming every day, so it was a little bit simpler for us. But the families that have remote, obviously we had to revise how to deliver their services through remote methods. Then recently we were notified that the state is going to random sample roughly 20% of the students in the state to review their learning model IEP implementation plan. So we'll have to submit certain pages of our IEP, their IEP plus the plan the students receiving. I believe it's the state's effort to make sure that we're meeting the requirements of the special education law and how it rolls out in Connecticut. At this point, we have not been informed that any of our students have been selected for this review. Another issue, one of the things I inherited when I took over the department was a practice that I'll call it an SRBI practice. SRBI is scientifically researched behavioral intervention. We use our Title I money to provide additional help to students who do not have an IEP, but have delays in literacy or mathematics. And then data is kept on the student's progress. And if the student needs more assistance through an IEP, then that data helps us with that. In a similar vein, with related services, speech, occupational therapy, physical therapy, for years we've provided those separate related services to mostly our younger students, because these little kids come in with various stages of development, and they might be needing a little extra help with language or articulation, or holding a pencil, other fine motor activities, or physical therapy activities. And we haven't had a rule or a guideline as to how long a student can stay in that kind of a service before we ask the question, is their need persistent enough that they should have an IEP or a 504 accommodation plan? So I'm planning this Friday at our department meeting to have that conversation with the staff and pose that the year that identification happens and we start helping the student develop better articulation or language, that they have that the rest of that year, and then at least another full year if necessary, and then to sit down with the family and talk about whether this process should continue because the student's making really good progress, just needs a little more time, or become a little bit more formal with an evaluation process to make sure the student might or might not need an IEP. So those are a couple of things that are sort of percolating for the department. Other than that, things I think are moving along pretty well from the point of view of delivering services. Things are adjusted because of the cohort groups, but I think from my perspective, listening to people talk about how things are going for their students during the annual reviews we've had so far this year, and I've had approximately 92 meetings since the start of the school year, so I have a pretty good feel that things are moving along pretty well. And but I'll report next month on I'll keep you up to date on the selection, the states reaching out for random review of records to see how we're doing with that. And then once we reach a department decision regarding how long PPS should continue, pupil personnel services should continue before we have an initial IEP. I think that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Lloyd. It's really interesting to hear the follow-up, especially with the random selection of, that's definitely keeping you on your toes. So good luck with that. And we'll be interested to see, how the outcomes come out there.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So moving to the superintendent report, Adam.
Yes, Happy New Year, another year. So that's very interesting. We have, you have the calendar of events for my schedule for January and February 2021. After that, you also have an enrollment report. And right now we have the 251 pre-K through 8th graders and 129 high school students. But I'll be authorizing the registration of a new high school student transferring in tomorrow. So we did see a little bit of an increase. The next thing in your packet is that we've returned so far $16,215.20 back into the Treasury. And that goes into the town undesignated fund. Between the last board meeting and this meeting, it might be in your packet, but I just wrote a memo to the board stating that the projected last day of school is now Friday, June 11th, 2021, based on the one cancellation that we had. And that's as of this date. Upcoming high school presentations, we had NFA today. Griswold High is scheduled for the February board meeting, and Wheeler High is scheduled for March. And the superintendents are looking forward to meeting with our Board of Ed to highlight some of the things with their high school. High school students are officially recognized, and in the memo that I wrote to you, as assigned to that accredited high school. And Voluntown really acts as a nexus school. That means that we pay the tuition and transportation, but as far as the state is concerned, the individual student is placed on their enrollment report, and the individual high school is responsible for making sure that they meet the needs of students. My memo also talked about the channels of communication with regards to the Board of Education and directing any questions to the teacher, if not to the principal or on to the superintendent. And then after my review, I would bring that to the Board of Education. If there's any follow through with meeting the needs of high school students and high schools, and how high schools can, we would have the high schools conduct surveys, and I believe there's going to be some sample surveys at the next board meeting that Griswold uses to determine and assess student reactions to things. I also sent you a note on CABE professional development opportunities for members, and this past Tuesday, Kate and I attended a webinar that CABE had. The next thing in your packet is priority testing for educators. And this is just a thing from the Connecticut State Department of Education with a list of where they might go for testing, for COVID testing. There's another role of the CABE newsletter within upcoming professional development activities. And then between the last board meeting and now, there were policy highlights that CABE sent out, and the December meeting had key roles identified for the board chairperson, and then it also mentioned the 45th anniversary of Public Act 94-142 for all handicapped children, which is now known as the Individuals with Disabilities Act, or IDEA. There was another policy highlight, and this was from January 8th, and it was about questions raised regarding mandatory COVID vaccination for students. There was also a thing with children missing vaccine doses in 2020 because of COVID, and there was an update on Title IX regulations. So that's some interesting reading for board members if you so choose to stay current. I wanted to note, and I put it in the minutes, that there was a copy of the required annual meaningful notice for 403B plans and appendix. And there's just a summary. This is a notice that goes out to the staff and also verifies that the board is aware that these are our plans. The board approved these plans, and if we have to add another company based on what's happening, I would come back to the board and we would take an official vote. But beginning in January, it's good to have the annual notice. I wanted to mention something about, in the consent agenda, there was the food services program. And quite frankly, our numbers were down, but in December, in the 16 days of December, between the grab and go, well, the lunch and then the grab and go breakfast, we served 3,618 meals, which was a significant increase from the previous months. And in actuality, there was we received a reimbursement from the USDA of over $10,000. So as we're going through this, we've had to draw down some funds from the Board of Ed Food Services account. But right now we're trying to pay for the program out of the revenue that's coming in. And I'm hoping that by the end of the year, we would have a positive balance based on the numbers of things that are happening. I wanted to give a special welcome to Reverend Matthew McKay of the Voluntown Baptist Church. And Reverend McKay has already attended and been appointed to the Voluntown YSB LPC Advisory Board. Pastor McKay has generally, and the former pastor did this, serves as a member of our School Safety and Security Committee. So Pastor McKay has agreed to both of those assignments. About 2 hours before this meeting started, I received a communication from the Connecticut State Department that all of our requests for the $176,639 of COVID relief funds that we've applied for has been approved. Immediately following that, I received another communication from the Connecticut State Department of Education, and we have been modifying our CARES Act or ESSER funds. And we can't use the COVID relief funds for technology, but we can use the CARES Act for technology. And we upgraded the Wi-Fi, we've increased some technology, and as we were looking at Chromebooks for the students, the kindergartners were having a bit of a difficulty with the keypad. So what we did was we purchased 30 touchscreen Chromebooks for kindergarten, and we submitted this request to the authorities, and they said, yes, you can use the funds for that. So we're ordering these for the kindergarten students, and we think that that would be very appropriate for them. One final thing, and I'll put this on the agenda for the request Kate to put it on the agenda for the next board meeting, but you're going to be seeing things on television and reading about it in the newspaper. And CAPS, the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents, has written a blueprint to transform the Connecticut public schools. And this is something that the group has been working on for almost the last 2 years to develop and review some strategies, and it articulates a comprehensive set of 30 recommendations that CAPS believes will move Connecticut closer to ensuring that every child receives a high quality education. And it's comprehensive, and it addresses grants, teaching and learning. But between now and the board meeting, I may send you the copy of the blueprint so that you can look at that, and we'll put it on the agenda. But I thought we might have time to maybe review this, but it's many pages long. And I didn't want you to be out there and reading about this blueprint without understanding that it just arrived, and we really didn't have time to schedule it in for this meeting. Unless somebody has any questions, I think we're all set. And one little thing, Kate and I talked about the committee reports that's on the agenda, and that's in the consent agenda. So we thought that we would cross that off as an agenda item number 3 because it's included in the consent agenda. Okay.
Right, so for next meeting, you won't see that Roman numeral 7. Clean this thing up. Move
I had a
on.
question going back to your first point about the high school students with the surveys. It was a kind of a big topic that we talked about last month. Have you, since this is, the protocol is that they have to come from the high schools, have you reached out to each of the high schools and let them know of the board's concern and asked that they reach out to our students for feedback regarding the distance learning? or the
Yes.
hybrid learning?
Yes, and I think that might have been a question that we missed at the NFA because I thought that the board would bring up that question. I think there were questions that surrounded measuring the student performance and how we relate to different things. I do know that when Griswold's coming in, they have 3 different surveys that they use, Megan, and there should be some information that we'll pick up with that. But the issue here is that, for us to survey the high school students, when we have 7 different high schools, it would, I think, be just a very challenging task. And the other thing is, as we talked about developing programs for students, that's done through the school itself. And it's related to the issue that the parent might have. And when we receive an issue, generally speaking, it's Lloyd, and if he's not available, I will go and I will meet with the parent and the staff of the high school, and we will address the individual needs of the student. And as Brian said, they're very concerned about following through during this time of COVID and hoping that the students can come back to be in person and they can accelerate some of the things that they're needing. So surveys, if we need to have a question answered, it would be sending it to the high school and saying, do you have some information about this? But please remember, we are the nexus, which means our responsibility is to pay for the tuition and the transportation, but the educational program is a cooperative approach. But the school has things set up, and we have to work with following their established procedures. But if we do have questions and we want answers for them, then we can send something to the individual high school to see what they can develop and bring back answers for us. I don't know whether that answered your question, Megan.
Yeah, no, I just want to make sure it's not something that just is kind of like, well, not our problem. Because I mean, realistically,
No,
I want to make sure we're doing everything we can.
Yeah,
To
if anything,
make sure these students are heard. I'm hopeful with the vaccine that obviously there are some of the vaccines that 16 and 17-year-olds are going to be able to get, but that obviously doesn't encompass the entire high school population. I know Valerie had some really good thoughts on this, so I'd really like to hear what she thinks with her, her education input in terms of, it kind of sounds like, we're saying, well, we could ask the schools to survey them, but maybe we should just wait and see if they're able to come back at the end of this school year. And I'm just concerned that we'll get there and we still aren't gathering any of this information. So, I mean, I guess I'd like to hear what Valerie and some of the other board members think, because I think after last meeting, it sounded like we were all kind of in agreement that we wanted to get some feedback from this population.
I think after reading kind of Adam's outline as far as what the steps should be as as a student, as a parent, moving forward if there are issues, I can understand kind of that chain of command, if you will, that you put forth. I think that a lot of parents in Voluntown might need to hear that there are people to advocate with them, right? So I think Lloyd is a great example of this. If you have a student who has an IEP, has a 504, and is having some issues, then many parents may feel comfortable reaching out to Lloyd just because they've gotten to know him over the years, and they feel as though he's a great advocate for their children. I think that we need to expand that so that it's not just the kids who may receive special services. It's for kids who feel like they're overwhelmed and they don't know how to reach out to their teachers and they don't know how to reach out to their guidance counselors. And I know that NFA, has talked about how they put their guidance counselors in these places and they have houses for all of the kids. But you know, we have a small town, and I think that sometimes these parents, these kids who have grown up in this small town feeling comfortable, you know, with Amy, with her staff there, they may just need to feel like, you know, there is somebody that I can reach out within my town if I'm struggling, that I can discuss things with, that I can have an advocate who's on my side, you know, who understands kind of the workings of, you know, 8 different high schools and all of these students. And I think they just need to have a voice. And if we can't go out and ask them directly, you know, to speak their thoughts in a survey, I think putting out a message of how do we allow these parents to have a voice, how can they get an advocate if they feel like they need somebody that will provide more support than maybe they have in high school?
Well, I wanted to just comment because I said, you know, it's interesting. We did not ask that question with NFA being here. And that was a question. Maybe we should invite them back and they can tell us how they assess students and how they gather that information. But there isn't a week that goes by that we're not reaching out to the high school and communicating. And when I say that, you know, Lloyd is involved on a regular basis, and if he's not available, I'm always available. But I don't think a week goes by where we're not assessing and helping and supporting one of our Voluntown students and making sure that there's appropriate programming. Lloyd, maybe you might want to make a comment on that as well, because it's very structured, and there's things that are happening on a regular basis, and making sure we're maintaining communication with parents, even to the point where Lloyd just said the state is going to start reviewing, you know, 20% of IEPs to make sure that needs are being met. Lloyd, you?
Sure. I think my experience has been that the two main high schools, both of them have very strong guidance departments, and I've seen the relationships that are developed between the students, the parents, and the guidance department. And some of the students see a school psychologist in addition. I think the lines of communication are very strong, as I've observed, between the families and the high schools. And most of the families have chosen the high school, their particular choice, for many of them is based on the experiences they've had in the past with older siblings. And they've seen how things have gone. One of the most important things, at least NFA does, because of the way they organize their school for ninth graders, is they have a team of teachers that just focus in on ninth graders to get to know them, to get them comfortable, to get the parents comfortable with the school. And then, as was articulated earlier, they go into a homeroom building for their class, and they're in that homeroom building for the next 3 years. And as they articulated, they have the same guidance counselor, the same.
Can I hop in for a second? Can I
Sure,
just?
sorry.
I can only speak from what I know. I don't know what other sending towns do, Valerie. I'm just going to go on what I know. And I hear you. You're talking about the kids who don't have those plans that are struggling, right? So I know what we do from ninth grade is that we already know those kids that are struggling readers. We have a literacy unit in ninth grade. So we take the information that's gathered from like standard-based testing, grades, any kind of reading levels that they may attain. We have entrance exams. So they start there, and then they kind of put them into different units. And we do have one unit in ninth grade that's about literacy. And because we know that their CMT scores, whatever scores were not good, they're curriculum-based measures. We do that all the time, is curriculum-based measures that show that growth wasn't happening. So they're in a supported unit. And then what Lloyd was saying, that those units meet every week to talk about those kids who are falling behind, who needs more intervention, who needs to go where. And then, so those are for the kids who don't necessarily have that IEP to get them going, or don't have that 504 plan to give them that network of support. Again, I'm only speaking from one school out of 7, and I'm sure they have similar things, but that's how they're kind of keeping progress. And right now, trying to keep progress is so up in the air right now because we have so many things coming at us, challenges with COVID. And right now we're just really working on engagement. We have postcards that we send to kids right now who are, again, not on to say like, keep it up, good job, trying to do that. We recognize, we sent out surveys saying, what is it that you need from us? And parents and students had said personal communication. So we're trying to get their texts, you know, calling, reaching out, doing home visits. So that's kind of what's in the works right now. We're just trying to do anything we can.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what my fear is, right? So we have this group of students who have this great support system, right? They have special services. They know, these parents know who they can reach out to. They have a great support system. You have another group of students who are flourishing during distance learning. They're very focused. They know exactly what they want. They know how important education is. And they're in a place mentally and physically where they can do well. And then you have this group of students who may not be pushed to do their best, who may be floundering, who may be mentally like, you know, struggling emotionally. How do I, you know, I'm not getting out of the house. I'm not with people. I'm unable to make sure all of my assignments are done, who are, so, and I guess my concern is that that group of students that may not have a support, and parents are kind of like throwing their hands up and saying, how do I help my kid? Is there a support that we can say, listen, parents, if this is your situation, then these are the people that you need to talk to. You know, is it their guidance counselor? Is there somebody within Voluntown that is, you know, reachable, whether it's a social worker or somebody just to talk to, some sort of therapist. I struggle with, how do we show support for all kids? You have this great support system for some, and I want to make sure that everybody is getting the support that they need in order to get through this unprecedented time.
Yeah,
I would just like to say that you know, the involvement that we have in the high school is continuous. This summer, I had a parent who called me, and I called over to Brian over at NFA, and within the hour, the parent was calling me back and saying, thank you for taking care of that. Or a student who doesn't have the right technology, we've helped and we've participated in that. And we try to move as quickly as possible. But to say that this is constant, and there's a number of supportive things that we can do, but it's done in conjunction with the parent and the high school. And the number of communications that we have throughout the year is constant. It's not forgetting about students. It's being here to support them, but we need to work through the high schools. And as I said, when I called Brian, it was the first time I met him, and I talked to him about an issue. And then within the hour, the parent was calling me back and saying it's resolved. And there's several other things that I could list.
You mean Brian
Sheldon? Every child to be successful.
Yeah, Lloyd, I mean, Adam, I think Bryant Sheldon is who you're referring to, the building principal for the freshman house, correct?
Oh, yes. You know, we communicate with the principals and work with that. And as I said, if Lloyd is not available, then I'm called in and I cover that. And I have a counseling background, teaching background. So, and I've been a director of student services myself on an interim basis. So I'm aware of the procedures and other things that are involved in that.
And Adam, I appreciate you saying that, because I think that any parents who are watching this and feel like they're at an end, I think that you just gave them an opportunity to be able to reach out and kind of know where to go. And I think that's what I was driving at, is reaching the parents who might be watching this and saying, listen, if you're feeling like you're at a dead end with your child, we are still here to support you in conjunction with the high school.
Yes.
But you're not out there trying to fight the high school. And I say that very loosely and not at all disrespectful.
Right.
You're not there to do it by yourself. We're still here to support.
And Valerie, when I was talking about the chain of command, that parent called me, but I didn't go over. I sought out the head of the NFA and said, there's this issue and what's happening and how will we go about resolving this? And then they would go through their support system. So the chain of command for me was to talk to them and to report this. And then they make things happen. And then there's follow up after that, because it's not just usually a one issue. You make sure that students are maintaining, their progress. So as far as students getting lost in the system, we try to maintain that awareness of what's happening with the high school students and follow through with needs. And it's frequent that within doing our budget or making things available for high school students, we're constantly supporting that.
Kathy, I think you wanted to say something.
Well, I just want to know if Valerie and Megan are getting feedback from people that they're having problems, other than we all have problems with the remote. It's keeping the kids on task and stuff. Are you being approached by people saying they have a problem?
Nope, not specific. I just, as a parent and as an educator, I just like to be mindful of all of the different kids. And so, no, nobody's approached me and said that we're having a difficulty, but it could be that one parent who's in the background who doesn't know who to approach and doesn't know, how to flounder their way through the system, that may need that encouragement in a specific direction.
In my experience in Voluntown, people know to speak up.
Okay.
They speak right up, but they need to just follow through with the teachers. And I mean, remote is not nice for anybody. It's not a great situation for anyone. When your kids are doing it, it's like herding cats. They're not interested. It's not as interested in class. We just got to get through this. That's so difficult for everybody. It's difficult even for meetings like this. But
so I guess my question would be, Amy and maybe Adam, Amy having more of the FaceTime with the parents. Do you feel as though your high school parents understand that you and Adam or your social worker or Lloyd are there to call? I think a lot of parents, they default to, I need to contact somebody at NFA or Griswold. And those schools obviously have a lot more students than Voluntown. So are you comfortable that all of those parents, or the vast majority of the parents, because I'm sure not a lot of parents, or there are several parents that don't watch these meetings, are you comfortable that they know that you're a resource if they're having student issues and they just don't know where to go and have it escalated properly?
And I think in my experience of the time that I've been in admin, there may have been a handful of times that someone's contacted me and just said, do you know what I do in this situation? And, I'm happily to answer those questions for them, but I do always deflect to the high school. Once children go to high school, we are kind of cut off as the elementary school. I don't really have any other power over into helping them per se, because that's not our wheelhouse. But I do help direct people. A lot of times I get called about bus things that happen. But I will point them in the right direction, or do you think I need to do X, Y, and Z? And I think that just comes with a comfort level of knowing me. A lot of people do know me or I've had their kids as students, or they may have a question. I will, at any time happily try to direct them in the right direction for what they need. We certainly don't want to see kids struggle, but we don't, my connection to NFA may be a little bit deeper than a parent's, but it's not that deep as you would think. So, I would still have to hunt around for that information if they needed a guidance counselor. My social worker would have to hunt around and try to find that, for what that child would need. But we certainly, if someone was truly having difficulty and needed someone to advocate for them, undoubtedly we'd find the right answers, or call somebody that I know in that, at NFA or Griswold or Wheeler, whatever it is, and just say, listen, I don't know what to do with this. How can you help? How can you help this family? They're in need. They've been displaced. They've, X, Y, and Z has happened. And I've never been turned away. So anytime that anybody has called, we've always been able to help and resolve. So I think that's kind of the bottom line. I don't necessarily think it's a survey. It really is, if somebody needs something from us, please call. And we've said that for our elementary kids, and it always extends to high school, for kids in that area. I would say that if someone truly needs an immediate, quick response, their high school is their route. Those are their people now. Those are the people that are there for them and meant for them. And if they need, sometimes when you come from a small school, you need a little bit of help sometimes navigating. When you're here, we tend to coddle people a little bit when we're here, and we do everything for them, and, those types of things. So we're okay doing that as they go and enter high school. But in reality, it's very minimal that I'm really involved, that someone would reach out to me. They really go to their high school where they're known.
I think with any high school, we have to have faith in their process that they have at each high school, that they are going to eventually, or at some point, reach every kid and help identify those kids in need. And if not, then it's got to come from the help of that sending town, like a liaison, Lloyd and Adam being the perfect liaison. Mm-hmm. And then we have to let the process at the high school take place, because we have to empower the high school to be able to do what they need to do to reach out to help these students.
And I think no one will know and understand, like Valerie said, there is a group of kids that will be kind of on the edge kind of group of kids. You've got your kid, there is that group. And for them and their parents, they just need to know that they have to let somebody know that they're struggling. So you can't sit and struggle and then say, I'm not getting help. So we want, please reach out to somebody where we can then direct you to the right information.
And I'm just wondering if maybe we could, maybe you guys would find it worth it to send the parents an email. I'm sure you still have a lot of that parent contact information. And that's kind of what I was getting at with asking if students, if you feel comfortable that your parents know that. Because maybe it's just worth a little extra communication of, even, if you're having trouble, please contact, Griswold or your student's guidance counselor. If you have trouble and you just are kind of at your wit's end, we're always a resource. Maybe that's something you feel like, just as just to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to communicate and give those resources to those people. If you feel like that's a way to.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure you read what Adam said about a nexus. They are not our students anymore. They are NFAs or Griswold. And it's not for our counselor to intervene. There's probably legal problems if she intervenes. They need to go through the process, as Erika said, through the high schools. And if your child is having problems, they have to reach out to their high school teacher.
Kathy, that's what I just said. That's literally what I just said.
Sure. We just said send it out to all the parents. We can't be doing that.
But we could invite John or Brian back and just ask them the question that you just asked. And if we're having Griswold in and Wheeler in, that's the first question that we have to ask. And if this is so important, we have to make this the focus of the conversation. What do you do to help students make sure that they understand the procedures for communication? And I think that we can build on that. Actually, I think we should invite NFA back, because we've just spent all this time talking about this, and this is the paramount question. And the next time that we bring them in, I was hoping that this question had been asked, and I didn't ask it myself, but let's ask it again and compare how they do that. And, you know, even with Ellis Tech, the counselor at Ellis Tech used to be our counselor. So we have a good connection there, and she's very familiar with all of the students that you know, were, from VES. So that's also very helpful.
Adam, could I make a comment?
Sure.
I think one of the things you may not be aware of, since the pandemic began, the literature that we're exposed to through emails and through workshop advertisements and webinars in the area of helping to identify students who are struggling emotionally or academically, and opportunities for people to strengthen their ability and their attuneness to what the needs are of students who are struggling. Almost every day I receive something in my email, and I think it's a high priority for all of the support staff and all of the schools to be alert to the kids who are disengaged or not as engaged as they need to be, so that their performance meets their potential. And I just know from the conversations around the tables, as I've had meetings, the schools are searching for kids who are not engaged, and trying a variety of things. And I think if we emailed Brian and John with this question and invite them to pop in on our next board meeting with their answer, it might put people a little more at ease. But I just think that there's always something more that you can do, but at the same time, a lot of it boils down to the parents having had a really good orientation to the school from day one, so that they know who to call for whatever the issue might be. Thank you.
As we know, is nearly impossible during this particularly difficult year of COVID. I mean, it really does boil down to that, Lloyd, because the orientation has probably, I mean, we can only assume, has been so limited in so many ways. So, I think that'll be our charge for this. We'll follow up with NFA. We will have them come back for next meeting, either if they'd like to do it in person, or if they send us a personal response, we can read that and approach it there. And then we'll have, it's Griswold coming in, Adam?
Griswold's coming in the next meeting, and then Wheeler. So we would be looking at the April meeting for a return by NFA. But I really look back, and I know that we're in constant touch with the high schools. And if there are issues with students, they've always been very responsive. And we've had a really good relationship. And if there are needs that need to be addressed, there's always programs that we're developing through the school and as follow-up. And this is just part of a plan of action to making sure students are successful. And I hope that if people are approaching board members, that they would call me up to let me know if there's a problem, or refer the parent to me. And as I said, this summer I had a call and a transitional thing, and within the hour the high school was communicating with the parent, and the parent called me back and said the issue has been resolved. Thank you. And that's generally what happens. So very supportive, very helpful. Or if parents need some supplies or other things, we try to actively engage in that to make sure that they have the materials and support that they need.
Can I emote Kristen, our former board member, and say that it's 9 o'clock at night, and I'm hoping we can move on to the next piece, because It's 9, and I'm hoping we can.
Arca, noted. Thank you.
Okay,
Point
because
of
it's 9.
order.
Okay.
We're moving on to agenda item of old business, item number 1, the budget preparation process.
Yes, I sent you a budget proposal. This is the initial budget proposal. And its initial budget proposal of a 1.57% increase, which is $106,635. Please remember, last year at this time, I proposed a 2.93% budget increase to the board, and we wound up with a 0% increase. This initial budget proposal includes all negotiated salaries for teachers, non-certified classified staff, the cost of outplacements and tuitions, the projected increase of 8% for the cost of health insurance. It might come in a little bit less, and then projected energy costs. And this $106,000 does include a foreign language teacher, which is the greatest majority of that increase. I might add that there is also a van that is in this budget proposal. So there are things that we're doing. So basically, we are running the school district, if we take those 2 items out, with a 0% budget again. And we've had some changes in staffing. If somebody leaves or retires, we had a para-educator retire this year, and we have not replaced that person. So I gave you the timeline of the upcoming events. And please note that this bottom line of this budget can change. As a matter of fact, just today, I received tuition increases from EastCon, their slight, and also from Griswold High School, their slight. And I have to rearrange parts of the budget as that comes in. And as a matter of fact, NFA mentioned that they're going to get back to us. They have their meeting on January 26th. So therefore, when I get their numbers, we're going to have to put this in to the budget, and I'm going to have to go back through and make adjustments. These are challenging times, and to add, a foreign language program, I know we've been talking about that for a number of years, but it's a real challenge. So there's some decisions that the board needs to make. The other thing is that the state is reviewing their finances, and I'm in hopes that the legislators, and I met with Senator Summers and Brian Lanou, along with Tracy Hansen and Jody Grenier, to talk about some of the things. And the representative and the senator are very aware of my concern about the education cost sharing cuts that the state is giving to Eastern Connecticut. And hopefully within the budget process, they can lessen the impact with some severe cuts that are being faced by some of the smaller school districts, because the state is increasing ECS funds, and the bulk of the increases are going to the larger municipalities, and up and down the eastern part of Connecticut, we're getting cuts. So when I come back to you in February, I'll put this budget out. When I come back to you in February, there will be some adjustments, but the big issue is with the foreign language teacher. And last year, when I had the 2.93% increase, that did not include in my initial budget the foreign language teacher. But I know the board wants to do this, and I think that we have to have some discussions on this.
Adam, did you get anywhere with figuring out the formula they use for the ECS?
Yes, they're using an independent organization called the School Finance Project of Connecticut, and they use some variables, and I disagree with those variables. Right. And my message to the state legislators were, stop using an outside agency to determine the allocations to municipalities. And quite frankly, 4 years ago, that group came out with and we were going to get a $347,000 cut. And that was the year that we told the town to vote down the budget in June and wait until we get a reallocation. And we had the meeting. The budget was approved December 20th of that year, and the state legislators, restored funds. So I really requested that they hold harmless. And one of the things that's coming out is there's groups that are looking at financing formulas and what's happening. But the state allocations toward education are dwindling, and more burden is placed on the local taxpayer.
What is the chance, Adam, that we actually can get a foreign language teacher?
I just received an email. Yeah, there's 2 districts. One is Andover and another one, and they want to introduce a foreign language teacher, and they can't find somebody. And it's just something that's a shortage right now. So they were looking at trying to share with somebody else. And that could be an option. But the other thing is that we're still working, and there's a concern by the board for the remote learning and what's happening and how are the students developing. And I know that Amy will come back with some STAR test scores, probably maybe the February meeting, Amy, to do some comparisons to see, or the March meeting, but to do some comparisons. But we have to make sure that we're emphasizing the core program. And it's just my feeling that we might need a year to, really focus on that, to help see where the children are academically, and make sure that we're dealing with the English language arts and the math development. So that's something that we really do have to consider. And Amy and I have had some discussions about how this might fit into the master schedule and what's happening. It's unfortunate because this is something that I wanted to do for such a long time, and there always seems to be a challenge. But this COVID and some of the catch up we have to do after this is really significant. Unless Amy comes through and the kids have some really incredible reading and math scores, and we can say, we're holding our own with the academic progress. But I do think it's a whole different situation with the children and what's happening. And everybody is working so hard. It's really, just amazing. The efforts that are being placed and the academic focus.
Adam, can I make a comment?
Sure.
I was at a meeting this week, and it was for one of our 9th graders at Griswold High School. One of the things at least Griswold has done, knowing that with a graduation requirement that every student have at least one experience with a global language, they instituted a course in Spanish, because that's the only language that they offer at that school, that focuses on culture, vocabulary, and sort of non-rigorous approach to the beginning of exposure to Spanish. And then students who complete that, I'll call it an orientation program, then are on an equal footing with those students who've had that kind of thing at other middle schools, and then they can take a regular college prep Spanish 1 their second year. And so I think the schools offer some options, so our kids may not be at as much of a disadvantage as we might think because of the curriculum offerings at the high schools.
Yes. The other factor that we have to consider is where is our enrollment, declining enrollment. And I've talked to some local real estate agents, and they said that, you know, houses are pretty selling. And I had 2 conversations with people new to the town who want to build houses here. And one of them said, we want to move into Voluntown because of the school district. So hopefully there's some, you know, positives to that. But, you know, we still have to monitor our enrollments and to make sure that we're setting up to meet the needs of the students. But we've been slowly cutting back through attrition, and the projections on enrollment have stabilized a little bit this year from last year. So we have to just review the number of births. But over the next few months, we'll be coming through with some recommendations with regards to enrollment, teaching assignments, staffing, and budget. And if there's some openings within that, even if we, you know, there might be a way that we could, you know, put a foreign language program in without a budget increase.
Well, I do think, you know, I'll always encourage us to think as creatively as possible to somehow include a foreign language into the system the way that we can. And obviously we have to be sensitive to the budgets, but you know, this has been on the table for a long time. I know most of us on this board believe in it and believe it's good for the children and something we are lacking from a curriculum standpoint. So I think that, you know,
yeah, Kate, there could be a possibility. I need to watch the numbers and the funding and other types of things. And the big thing is the state funding. You know, I'm in hopes and just networking. Even tomorrow morning, I have a meeting with the legislators, and this is going to be my statement. And then I was with 30 superintendents last week, and I was talking about the ECS funding, and I looked at people and I said, you're being cut 116,000, you're being cut 220,000. And they looked at me and they said, where are you getting this? And I said, I reviewed the report that was put out by the school finance thing, and there's so many people in Eastern Connecticut that are getting a cut. So I sent them to the, I sent the March 12th, 2020 summary that I sent to the board, this Board of Education last year. We are aware of the cuts, and I've been a broken record to our state legislators to please help us, please do something. And the other thing that we had, and we stressed in the meeting, was the pilot funds, because we only get $116,000 in pilot funds, and they value the state forest at such a low rate. And we should be getting at least $500,000 in pilot funds from the state because of the services that we provide, and the state forest is here, and pilot is property taxes in lieu of, you know, reimbursement in lieu of taxes. And I hope that the state legislators can do something with that, but there's been discussions about that for many years now. And Voluntown doesn't seem to get what I think is their due.
Is there any further discussion on the budget?
Initial budget, have to get that through to you. Next month, we come in with another adjustment within the budget based on student enrollment and several other factors, and the tuitions from the various high schools. At the March meeting, that's when the Board of Ed has to take a vote to forward a budget to the town hall for public dissemination. And then in April, we will have a budget hearing, and then the board will vote again to see if there's adjustments that need to be made. And we would have a town, well, it'd be a town hearing at some time, and then there'd be a meeting. I have the calendar in there. So we have like the next 4 meetings that we're going to be working on the budget, okay?
Okay. So we'll move along to item number 2, the COVID-19 update. I know you gave us a brief update from the various grants.
Yes, and the only thing, well, the committee's been meeting since July. I'm just going to try to be brief. We have had to make many adjustments for the schedules for the high schools. Some are going on hybrid, some are going on remote. The high schools have students coming in from a number of sources. And I will tell you that our VES, that we've been fully open with kindergarten through 8th grade since the start of the year, except for those first 3 Wednesdays where we studied remote. Then we had 2 early dismissals, but we've been basically full in. And we've really, knock on wood, been holding our own. Preschool is a hybrid model, and we have the capabilities to make immediate adjustments. And this weekend, we had to work with assessing the situation, and we did have some 2 grade levels that required quarantine plus some staff, but we set that up and we were ready to move to remote learning. And I will tell the board that if the numbers spike and Uncas Health District informs us, then I would have to make the decision to move to remote learning like ASAP. And this is something that would be based on that factual information. But I'm looking forward to Tuesday to see if we can return everybody and get back into the the school for all grade levels. Now, there are 20% of our students that are on remote learning, but we've implemented some strategies that they get direct instruction. And we have received some compliments from parents with regards to the instruction that's happening. And as we move along, if we do any assessments or other things, of course, we'll get an idea of how the math and reading for those students are going. So that's the reopen committee thing. Oh, and by the way, the meeting I attended today, they're going to release CARES Act #2. And if they do that, then we may have some additional federal dollars coming in. And believe me, we will make as much use of those funds as possible.
Just a quick question. Are you guys seeing a shift of people coming back to school or with the holidays going out distance learning, or has it been pretty consistent?
It's been pretty consistent. It's like a trade-off. Like sometimes there'll be 1 or 2 people that might be nervous and want to go remote for a few weeks. And I always encourage them, going to a remote program is different than an in-person student home on quarantine, because that student's going to come back to school. So it's a little different for those who truly want to go remote and be with a remote teacher. It's a different, category of what they're doing for the most part. But it's like a trade-off. Like sometimes we'll get 1 or 2 kids that maybe we'll be home for about 4 weeks, and then we might get 1 student in. So it's on and off. I've actually seen more coming back than I have seen go out. So we do promote our in-person. We are in person. So what you get for remote is what you get, because we are here. And obviously the best instructions happens when we're in the building. So, but it is a pretty even trade-off.
Any other questions on the COVID-19 update? I know just collectively as a town, I'm just so grateful for vaccines coming and hopefully a light at the end of this tunnel that has been so dark. But, I just hope everyone stays safe and healthy and, does the 3 W's or whatever you need to do, because it's just so, it's, it's still dark and, the numbers are kind of bleak, and obviously we've got this big surge after the holidays. So we're hoping that we're going to get on this, whatever that big bang was. Okay, well, thank you so much for that update on COVID. We want to move along to number 3 on school calendar for the 2021-22 school year.
We may be ready to approve the calendar. NFA and Griswold decided on April 18th, 2022 as the date of the April vacation. So the calendar that's in your packet for the proposal for 21-22, complies with the region and also meets state requirements for number of days and the number of days as per the contract. There was one other issue. There was a newspaper article today, and Norwich took out Columbus Day and they put down Indigenous people for Columbus Day. So they just put that in. So it could be helpful for the board to approve the 21-22 calendar as edited to include the week of April 18th as the vacation date. And if you'd like to add and change the name of Columbus Day to Indigenous People Day, that's up to the board as far as what they'd like to do. We need a sound, Kathy. Your sound's not on.
The spring break the spring break we have for April it aligns with all the other schools.
Yes, that's what I got.
Okay.
And I gave you some additional calendar, and theirs was the 18th. So we want to maintain those dates. I'm just in hopes that the tech schools also pick the week of the 18th. When they don't and they're on another week, then we have to run buses all over the town to pick up.
I think they did that last year. I think that happened last year, the year before. Yeah.
Yes, I've only received one phone call asking for vacation days for next April, but sometimes the board delays until February to approve the calendar. But from what I've seen, the trend is to match up with the April vacation. That's the most important one.
Kathy, were you trying to say something earlier?
No, I think there's a move in Hartford to legally change what we're calling Columbus Day. That's what I read somewhere, to Indigenous Day. So we don't really have to get into it here.
Yeah, we don't, and I'm not recommending. It's just something that the board, if they want to, they can consider. But Norwich did change it to Indigenous people.
So what are you looking for? A motion?
Just approve the calendar as presented for 21-22.
Motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving it as presented?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then, Griswold kept Columbus Day, Norwich changed it to Indigenous people, East Con went to Indigenous people. So, there's just this recognition that there might be some changes, but I haven't had anybody call me on that.
I think it's, you can address. Sorry, Megan, are you trying to say something?
Yeah, no, sorry. I can't find it in the board packet, but I swear I read something about 6 snow days. And then, is that correct? Am I making that up? Like, I can't find it now for some reason. Did you want to just talk about that really quick and just clarify? It looks like you're going to have.
I think. So Adam, Megan's speaking of the part of the packet where we just reviewed what this year's calendar will look like and when our last day of school will be if we were to have 6 snow days.
Yes, that's for this year. And Megan, right now, the last day of school, we had 1 cancellation for this year. The last day of school currently is Friday, June 11th. And some schools, when they cancel school, are going to remote learning. But based on the decisions and the information that I've received from the board, I think the consensus is to just cancel and not go to remote, because that would require, setting up some materials and really place a burden on parents. So what happens is Friday, June 18th gives us 5 more days. So that means that if there's any other cancellations, let's say we go up to 5, then our last day would be Friday, June 18th, and that would give us 181 days. But if I only have to cancel 3 more days, then, you know, the students would get out on that like Wednesday, you know, in June. So we have some leeway, but I don't want to go into the next week in June. If we go to Friday, the 18th, we still have the staff that has, and contractually, they have to come back and complete professional developments. And Amy has a whole slew of things just waiting for everybody to do. So, you know, that's what was happening. And then if we really want to, in the past, we've said, you know, the board could approve just 180 days. So let's say we have 6 more snow days. The board could say, we're gonna have 180 school days. The staff would still have to come in for their extra days, and the students would finish school on Friday, June 18th. So it's just a little bit of a different take on what's happening, you know, within the region.
Okay, thanks. So my carrying over into the 2021 to 2022, do you anticipate that will be the plan going forward? I mean, I know we in the future.
Is Megan's speech garbled with you too? There's something wrong with your volume, Megan. I'm sorry. It's very difficult to. So the last day.
Better? Is that better? No.
A little bit, yes. The last day for 21-22 is scheduled for June 14th, 2022.
Megan, are you trying to ask if will we continue doing like a remote blend, like do like so many snow days and then we might move to remote next year?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have
sound.
Okay. Well, we made the motion to approve it as presented, at least the calendar. So with that, if there are updates, we can always, you know, obviously some things might change. So
we can put calendar on the next board meeting just to look at some of the other variables with that. Would that be okay, Megan? Oh, she's phoning in. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to move on to snow removal, item number 4.
Okay, I gave you a 9-page report on snow removal, and we advertised. We went to Facebook advertisements and other things. And in the summary report, I indicated that Luna Landscaping had their numbers. We had them come in on a temporary basis, but the issue here is that A&M sealers may have a little bit better experience with snow plowing. And A&M sealers adjusted their rates. On the report that I have, it said $1,500, but they lowered their price to $1,200. And then for inches beyond that, they lowered their price from $500 to $300, and their bid includes sanding. And I would like, and this is the company that the town calls in for larger snowstorms. So they have experience working in the town, and they're very familiar. And one of the things that happened was that, you know, they have the plows that can help with large parking areas as well. So I would like to request that the board approve A&M sealers for the snow removal bid. And I'd like to have a motion for that if possible.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, I think I'm going to call them right now so they can get ready for any snowstorms. Okay.
Okey dokes. sorry. 5-year facility plan.
Yes, this is just a standard list of things that are done. We're required by state law to make sure this law was written so that the town would have an idea of the impact of any future budget things that are happening, and they wanted to project out. And as I said before, we've been working on updating the building, and this is just to inform inform the Board of Selectmen. So if there was a motion to authorize to approve the 5-year facility plan and authorize the superintendent to sign it and forward it to the selectmen to comply with state guidelines, I'll just copy this and send it to Tracy.
Motion.
A second.
Sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There wasn't any
opposed?
discussion? Okay, yeah. Okay.
Motion carries. Okay. Item number 6 is our preparation for the special Board of Ed meeting on the 28th of January, 2 weeks from now, with Nick Caruso, the Cape consultant.
Yes, that will just be a special meeting, and the agenda will read, this meeting will take place in executive session because we'll be talking about Board of Ed self-evaluation issues, and it's probably going to be entirely on executive session. We'll just come out at the end and complete it. But Nick is available. He's going to attend, so that's all that is. It's just updating you.
Yeah. I think I've told almost all of you that I'm excited to get him back. He's a great guy for all of us, especially as kind of a prep work type of conversation for new board members. I know I feel like I'm new every single day that I talk to him. I learn something new from Nick, but he's really a great resource for us. So I think we can, and leading up to that, if anybody has questions, please call me. If we want to brainstorm questions for Nick and so forth, they might send out a few things to food for thought. That's something that we can do together as a board. Really engage with him on best practices.
And that again is at 7 o'clock, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay, it wasn't on there, so I wanted to double check.
Sure.
Sometimes, Valerie, we always get food too, because it's much better to do this together with food.
Yeah.
COVID. Well, I'll grant you right to just chomp away as we talk to Nick. All right, so new business. I feel like we do see this this policy for Title IX every board meeting, but there's an update. I just want to understand better the clarification of why we're seeing it again.
Well, there's been some controversy over this policy, and I believe that with the changeover in the new Secretary of Education and some of the things that are happening, there might be some additional changes. And I looked at this, and it's not a clean copy as far as there's one policy, and then it says or another policy, but we have to make sure that we're at least giving you what the policy would look like, and it's been ever changing, and we've seen it a lot. So I'm not sure I can have the board vote on this evening. So I think I need to edit it just a little bit more. Okay, so table for
Okay.
next meeting, and then
We'll come back the next meeting to review that,
Yeah.
however it looks. All right.
All right.
So that wraps up the new business items. We had already mentioned.
there's another bylaw for social distancing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
no,
It's,
no.
I remember too. Yes.
This is
Bylaw
just-
9327.
This is the first reading. That's a CABE suggested policy. And I just wanted to inform the board that, we'll review this. You can read it, and if you have any edits, just please call me or send something or call Dee Dee and make your suggestions there. But this will be on the next board meeting agenda.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's, I think we should take a look at that. That's I think a topic we can talk with Nick about as well. Some of the best practices with that. It's such a fine line of what, everybody's on social media of some sort, but, as we approach our own selves privately versus as, board members and what the rules of the road are for that, I think we'll review some of those suggestions in our offsite, our next meeting. Okay, so, all right, we've moved through new business, so we can move on. We just talked about our next meeting. The regular meeting is February 11th, so that will be for your calendars. That's the next February meeting. And we'll continue the budget preparation, the COVID updates. He'll share that blueprint with us and some of these bylaws, or the Title IX and the bylaw.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, now we can. Yes.
Still jumbled? No?
No, we're
Okay.
fine. Yes.
Okay, good. The bylaw, the board use of internet social network, is that currently a bylaw that's currently already implemented?
No.
Okay, has this been reviewed by Fred by any chance or no?
Well, if you want it reviewed by Fred, you can.
We got to pay
Yeah,
for
there's
it.
just a lot of information in this bylaw that's just not even enforceable.
Okay.
So, because it violates like free speech and all of that. So a lot of this stuff really shouldn't even be in here. I'm not really sure about the Freedom of Information Act and all of that stuff.
Sure. This is a CABE suggestion, Megan.
This is what
I will send it to him and have him review it. Okay.
Yeah, it's if you don't think that's a good use of his time, I just think there's a lot of stuff in here that's not.
No.
I think we should just keep it to stuff that we can actually control and take anything else that we can't out of it,
fine.
because it's just going to cause a controversy, honestly.
Okay.
Is that something that can be discussed at the next special meeting that we have with the gentleman from CABE?
Well, we might, but it's okay to have Fred review it and then see what he comes up with, and then maybe that can be one of the things that we put in, or we leave it to the next regular meeting.
Yeah.
I would do it in a regular meeting because
All right.
All right. So with that, I think we are close to moving to executive session. So we need a motion to do so.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Well, Megan and Arca kind of fought that one out. We'll give it to the vocal one. Arca gets it.
I think Kathy was first. I don't think she was first.
Yeah, Kathy starts. Kathy initiated. Okay. So Dee Dee, I will go ahead and